Hello everyone, this is Mr. Oberst coming to you with another drawing lesson. This one is on 1-point perspective drawing. Now some of the grade 6s have already started this, where I decided to draw inside of a school hallway. So I'm sure you guys are missing the look of the school. So we are going to be doing a drawing where we are going to be focusing on 1-point perspective, that there's going to be 1 point in the center. And if you were to imagine like a rectangle kind of going away from us, that would be representing the end of the hallway. And then everything that kind of comes out from that point will give it that look of like that there is 3 dimensions, or there's perspective. So I'm just kind of showing you an example right now quickly of how all the lines come out from that point, and you can see there's the floor and there's the ceiling. And over here, we're going to kind of make a set of lockers where you can see that everything kind of goes to that point again, follows that line. Then I'll be talking about things like parallel lines, where the lines have to be parallel to one another in order to make it look realistic. I'll just put like another set of lockers here. So I'm just doing this quickly with a Sharpie to show you what we're doing. And then on the left side, we'll do something with doors and probably some bulletin boards, etc. So let's begin. Materials you're going to need is basically a ruler and a pencil and a piece of paper. You can decide to color afterwards if you wish and do outlining. But the very first thing I'm going to do here is make the end of the hallway. What we're going to do, I've decided a 5 centimeter by 3 centimeter dimension wall at the end. And this is going to represent the end of the hallway where we have the double doors. We'll see them at the end. Now inside that rectangle, we're going to make a little center point, and we'll just put a line down the middle to make it look like in the middle we have the 2 doors. In the middle of that, we're going to put a tiny little dot. That dot is going to be very important for all of our drawings for the 1-point perspective. Make a line along the top here. And what this is going to represent is just like a little frame for the door. Inside that door, we're going to put another set of lines, and that's just going to double up to make it look like there is kind of like molding around the door. Anytime you have extra lines there, it just makes it look a little bit more specific and detailed. We'll put a window inside each one of these doors. And don't be lazy, we're going to be using a ruler, so make sure we're doing straight lines. And I usually just put like a few squiggly lines, make it look like that's a window. Now we'll just put in a couple of door handles. You can just draw those in, don't really need a ruler for that. What I'm going to do is just put little hinges, make it look more realistic again. That is where the doors open. And we'll be using those hinges later too on our lockers. Now let's start putting in our floor and our ceiling. So with our ruler, join up that point to the corner and just draw the line going across. So take my ruler, put it on the point, find the corner, and then draw the line across. That is our floor. Do the same thing with the ceiling. Point, corner, draw across. We're going to start on the right side of our wall. We're now going to be putting in the side of our locker. We're just going to be drawing a rectangle. So you decide how deep you want to go. I'm just going about 2.5 centimeters. And this is where the word parallel comes in, where a parallel line has to go along the edge of the paper. Now I don't draw all the way to the top. I stop a little bit below that ceiling line, But we need to make a parallel line now, going parallel to the other side of our locker. Now we want to go as long as the length of the line has to be the same length, and then we just draw across. I apologize for the lighting. Kind of gets bright every time I go over top of the lamp. It has to readjust my camera. So here we have the side of our locker, which is just a rectangle. Now we connect to that point. The bottom of the locker, we're going to draw out and then just stop. And that's going to be how we are going to decide how long our locker is going to be. And we're going to take that ruler and go parallel along to that line and finish off our line going down. Take our eraser and erase that ceiling line because that's going to be behind the locker. Do the same thing at the bottom. So as you can see, it is just a rectangular prism, kind of like a box. We'll do the details a little bit later. Right now we're going to put a door that goes between the two sets of lockers. So just draw a line, connect to that point, and then finish off that line there, and that is our door. We're going to put a window in. Oh, sorry, we're going to put the frame. Just extra lines. Make it look like there's a frame. And then we're going to put a window connecting to that point. And then parallel to the door line. If you squiggle lines in here, make it look like that is a window. Our door handle in there. I can put like a little rectangle going to that point again, and then maybe draw a door handle inside that rectangle. Just adding more details always enhances the look of any artwork. Now we're going to decide to make the next set of lockers. So what I imagine is the bottom of that locker kind of continues along that line, because that's how deep it's going to be. Now I'm just going to imagine the top of that locker going to here and then going to the wall line. And then I'm going to just draw a straight line going across to that line that I drew earlier. And that's going to be how deep my locker is. Because the further away you move from something, the smaller it's going to get. So it won't be as wide as my first locker. I'm going to just draw my parallel line here. And then make a line parallel to the bottom line to the top. So now we have another smaller rectangle representing the lockers that are further away from us. Erase those lines in there. Now we're going to join up our locker to that point from that corner. Don't go all the way to the point. We'll stop short of the edge of the wall. And then make a parallel line down to show the far end of our locker. Erase the lines that are in there, because that is behind the locker. They're not see-through lockers. And now we have two sets of lockers, erasing any lines that aren't needed. We're now going to go and put some details. The first detail I'm going to put is just kind of like a little molding at the bottom of our locker. Actually, no, in this drawing, I think I'm putting the molding on the walls first. Yeah. So let's put the molding or the baseboards on the walls, just little lines connecting that so you can see. Color those in quickly. It looks like there is like what's called baseboards at the bottom of the wall. We're now going to do the top sets of lockers. And the way our lockers look at our school is there's like two rows of lockers, like two sets of small lockers. So one on top and one on the bottom. So what we're going to do is just kind of eyeball where our top lockers are going to be. And we do have a ruler, so we could probably measure it so that it's exactly the same, but I'm just kind of estimating here. If you notice, I always have a little bit of a wider line towards me than that's further away from me. Because as you move farther away, things get smaller. So now we're going to do our next set of lockers that are on the bottom. I'm going to do the bottom line. And then connect those two lines, make it parallel to our locker. And now we have our two kind of frames of our lockers. Now we're going to do sets of 3 lockers. We'll have 3 lockers up top, 3 lockers on the bottom. Now what I'm going to do here as well is I'm just going to do a bit of that baseboard. So I'm just going to put in lines here and color those at the bottom. So it's just a bit of a frame. Now we're going to put the length of each locker. So once again, as lockers are closer to us, or as objects are closer to us, they're bigger. So as I put these lines in, as I move away, it's going to have a little bit of a different dimension because we want to make it look like the lockers towards us are a bit longer. This is where you do a little bit of an estimation. Now inside the lockers, we have kind of like lines on them that represent ventilation because lockers can get stinky, especially for grade 6s and junior highs. So we definitely need to have some lines in here to represent like kind of the vent. I'm going to do lines up top. Just going to do a little speed lapse here, speed this up. Normally not this fast. And now we have the ventilation lines. Now to put locks in our lockers, what we do is we put like little rectangles inside there. And that represents inside that little area we're going to be putting our locks. So our combination locks will go in. We just have all those lines going towards that point. And then we just do the parallel line now, going down. Same thing at the bottom. I'll do a little time lapse. And here we don't need a ruler. We can just draw little handle latches here, represent where the lockers will go in, or the locks. And we'll just do a little bit of extra detail at the bottom, just extra lines. I find anytime I do a perspective drawing, I always like doing a lot of lines, like framing and outlining. This gives that extra detail. Those hinges that we put on those doors before, we're going to put a couple hinges on our lockers. I'll just draw the first set here. And then from there, we need to use our ruler and our point. And then the top of each hinge, I'm going to time lapse here and just color them in. The bottom ones. And then we'll do the same thing on the bottom lockers, top hinge, color them in, and do the bottom. We're now going to move over to the left side of our wall, where we're going to be doing some doors and some bulletin board displays, maybe a little table. So to draw a door, just take your ruler, do a parallel line going down, and you decide the height. Typically doors go towards the top of the ceiling, but not all the way. That line we're going to connect to the point. Decide how deep we're going to go. I'm just going to go to about right here. And then do a parallel line going down. And that is our door. Of course, always putting frames on them. We'll put frame around that door, making that one side, and one on the top. And then when we do the far frame, I'm going to make it a little bit narrower because it's moving away from us. Put a window in that door, a little line here. And then the top of that line will go to that point. Stop shy on that line. Same thing on the bottom. And then finish off our window. We'll do the same kind of door handle style as we did before. Putting a little rectangle and then some kind of a handle in here. All the handles are kind of the same, they're consistent. We'll squiggle lines here to show that it's a window. We're going to put a bulletin board display here by drawing a line parallel. Make it a little bit longer. Then going to the point. Decide how deep you want to go. And then finish off with a parallel line. Have our little bulletin board display. And of course, I always like doing the frames. Now inside, I'll probably put some little rectangles in here, and that'll just represent maybe artwork or some posters or notes that are up on the bulletin board. I'm just making 2 sets of rectangles, so 4 in total, making the ones closer to me a little bit bigger, and as they move away, a little bit smaller. I'm just going to squiggle little lines in there to make it look like it's actually artwork. And maybe I'll have put like little pins in there. Make it look like they're stuck in with some pins. Now maybe in this little area here underneath that bulletin board, I'll draw a table. Now, I have to kind of explain this clearly. So imagine you have just a little rectangle coming out of the wall. That represents one edge of the table. So that's just a little rectangle sticking out. Now at the corners of that rectangle, we're going to go to that point, decide how deep we want to go. And then we'll finish off the line there parallel. The top corner there, going to the point. And then we need to go parallel to that line. So it just now looks like there's a rectangular prism sticking out of our wall. We're going to make it look like there are some legs sticking out. We'll just put legs going down here. Now those legs will kind of go along the bottom of the wall line. And what I do is just imagine there's kind of like an imaginary line going across from that point, and then that's going to decide how far out my legs will be. So then here you can see there's a parallel line there. And then we'll just do a table leg going down. And then to determine how far down that far leg goes, we have to imagine the bottom of that leg is going to that point, and then there's a little line there. Just draw your leg going down to that point, or to that kind of light line that we'll have to eventually erase. And then to do the far leg, we're just going to draw that line going down where it kind of meets the wall. The bottom of each leg should be parallel to the lines of the table. We now have a little table sticking out up to the side. Let's put some books on there. Maybe I'll just erase a bit of the top of the table there. We'll just draw maybe 3 books. So it's basically like 3 little rectangles. I'm going to round them off a little bit to make it look more like a book. And then there again, we need to use that point, have each corner going out to that point. And then stopping short. Obviously, we don't want the books going all the way to the far wall. And then we need to just do that parallel line going across and then finish the sides of the books here. Now we have 3 books sitting on a little table underneath the bulletin board display. Now we'll continue with another door and bulletin board. So imagine that top of the line continues on, going to that point. That's how high this door is going to be. So just go to that line, just draw behind the table of books, and then finish off the line at the top here. Make it dark so we know how deep that door is going to go. So now we have our second door. Do a frame around that. Put in our window, following that line from the other window. The bottom, and then we'll finish off the vertical parallel lines here. We'll squiggle lines in there to make it look like a window. We'll put our door handle, square or rectangle in there with the handle. And notice I don't get lazy. Even though the drawings are getting smaller as they move away from me, I still use my ruler to make sure that everything goes in perspective. We're going to go to the next bulletin board display. In the border, this is where a nice sharp pencil comes in handy. Don't want it too dull, else the lines are too thick. And we may just put less displays in the bulletin board. Maybe we'll just do 2 here, because it is getting pretty small. So maybe we'll have 2 items here that are on the bulletin board. Little squiggle lines with a little pin in it. Maybe at the bottom here, I'll do 2. We got 3 on there. If you notice at the bottom, I have that baseboard. We'll do a similar baseboard on the bottom of this wall. Extend those lines out. Don't make it too big. Like that. And then we're just going to color that in. Now we're going to move to our floor. This is where you definitely need the measurement of the ruler. So what we're going to do is we're going to take off little points here on the far bottom part of our doors. And I'm just going every ½ centimeter, 5 millimeters each. Just put little ticks on there. And then from that point going to each tick, I'm just going to draw a line going down the floor. So from the point to the tick, draw a line going out. Point to tick, line going out. And what this is going to represent now is the floor pattern. We're going to make it look kind of like it's checkered. So from the point to the little tick that we made off with the measurement, draw lines going out. And now we have the vertical lines. Now to do the horizontal lines, this is where you need to kind of what I call eyeballing it. So you estimate it. So we're just going to put a vertical line there, but as it moves closer to you, the lines are going to get wider because that gives the perspective illusion of that it's getting closer to you. So those lines are going to get bigger. The separation is going to be bigger. So further away from you, the lines are going to be smaller. So there you have the illusion of that. It looks like it's moving away from you. I'm going to do a time lapse thing right now where I'm just going to speed up coloring every second rectangle or square and then alternating it so it looks like it's a checkerboard. When it's done, it will look like this, all colored in. You can spend as much time as you want to color that in. We're now going to do the ceiling very similar to what we did with the floor. So we're going to take our ruler again, and we're going to make those little tick marks every 5 millimeters or ½ centimeter. So just a little tick, make little marks. And what that's going to represent now is the ceiling lines where you're going to go from point to tick again, and then draw the lines going out. We'll do a time lapse here to finish this. And we're not going to do yet the horizontal lines because I'm going to show you how to do some lights. Now the two, I hate when this light shines brightly. But what we're going to do is we're going to imagine that there's going to be 2 sets of lights on the ceiling. So we're going to do a horizontal line going from these 2 lines. This is kind of in the center. And then we're going to follow those 2 lines with our ruler, deciding how deep we want to go. And then we'll just finish off that line, making it parallel to the other one. And then we're going to do like a teeny tiny little rectangle here. Just do a vertical line up and then make that line parallel. And what this looks like now is like a light hanging from the ceiling, sticking out of the ceiling. And we're going to do the next one. So continue with those lines and then draw them out, following those lines. Once again, I apologize for the lighting, the poor camera that I have here. even the delay on my hands. Figure this out the best that I can. So this will be the larger light moving or looking like it's closer to us. And then we just erase those lines inside because that represents our light fixtures. I'm going to do a time lapse here again where I'm just going to do some horizontal lines going across. And then that is going to be our ceiling lights. Now, what I like to do, and I'm going to time lapse this as well, is just with everything kind of done, I just take my pencil now and I go over those important lines, like the wall lines, the door lines, and I just make them nice and thick. What that looks like is just makes it look more finished because those lines are nice and thick. So your final product will look like this. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and it does take some time, but this will be the first in our series, and I will continue with some more perspective drawings in the next couple weeks. Thanks, guys. See you later.